sure there are quite a few investors, including myself, that have been, pitched a business that I'm like, do you know what we invest in? And it not only wastes their time, but it also wastes your time. You want to make sure that you're targeting the right investors so that, you're on a timeline to fundraise, and your time is so valuable. So.
Ashley, thank you so much for joining us today on Demo Day.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
So the reason that we started Demo Day is to help provide insight into all of the different VC funds, accelerator programs in Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, all around the country. And we're really excited to have you here from Halogen Ventures to learn more about what you guys are about, and thought we could get started by just telling people a little bit more about yourself, where you grew up, and eventually we'll get to how you became in the venture capital community here in Los Angeles.
Sure. So I'm Ashley Ramirez. I'm from the Central Coast of California, actually, in a small town called Orchid, California.
How far is that from Shell Beach?
It's about 10 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, super close, maybe 15.
I've got family that lives up there.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so most people, I have to say, it's like San Luis Obispo, because that's how they think of the Central Coast.
Okay.
And then they're like, oh, I know that town. So I'm from a small country town, about 20 minutes outside of San Luis Obispo. But, it's all wine country, agriculture, really fun. I played softball growing up, basketball, soccer.
Any siblings, or what were your hobbies growing up back when you were a kid?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I was kind of a tomboy. I played a lot of sports, and that's pretty much all I did. I'm the oldest of 4.
Okay.
I have super young parents. My parents actually had me at 16 years old.
Wow.
My mom was 15. My dad was 16. Actually, I haven't told that to many people, but if they ask, I'm very transparent. So, but yeah, they're young parents in their 40s. Oldest of 4. We're all 3 years apart. So 2 boys, 2 girls. My sister actually just graduated from college. So proud of her. And then I went to UCLA, and I've been in LA ever since. I graduated in 2016. I just never left.
Now, I can imagine that growing up at a young age, how spread out are all of your siblings? How old is your youngest sibling?
Yeah, so I'm my youngest sister is 22. 22, and my youngest sibling, my 2 brothers are the younger ones.
Uh-huh.
So one is 19 and one's 16.
Oh, wow.
So one's still in high school and one's still in college. And then we had one that just graduated from college. And then there's me. So my parents are busy still, and they all play sports too. So I played softball, basketball all growing up, more committed to softball. And I played competitively up until college. And basketball as well. And then my sister was full-time basketball. My brothers played basketball, baseball, football. So my parents are just like gung-ho sports parents. It's fun.
Now, if you look at some of your background and want to talk a little bit more about college and what that was like transitioning, but the Central Coast, as you mentioned before, is known for its wine country and its outdoorsiness, and it's not typically the focus around tech ecosystem. Did you always know that someday you wanted to gravitate towards tech and venture, or at what point did you start to think about business?
Yeah, so I actually wasn't, because it is such a wine country, and a lot of my peers growing up all ended up going into either wine or agriculture, and took over their family businesses and never left that town, and that's totally okay. It's such a great place to be raised and to have a family. And so a lot of them went to Cal Poly SLO because they have an amazing wine and vit program. So I was one of the few that ended up leaving and coming to a city like LA, and I knew nothing about venture. Tech didn't really, in what we invest in and what I've been exposed to, didn't really exist when I was living there, and I left in 2012. And it's growing a little bit more because Cal Poly actually has an awesome accelerator incubator. And so there are a few tech companies that are coming out of there, and they're starting to build the San Luis Obispo downtown area with some tech companies, but nothing like it is here in LA and San Francisco. So when I got here, I actually went into, I thought like any LA college student, thought I wanted to go into entertainment, PR, marketing, and I did some internships with that. And it was so much fun. I had such a great time, and I learned so much. But while I was at UCLA, I met Jessie Draper, who is the founding partner of Halogen Ventures. And at that time, she had a tech talk show called The Valley Girl Show. It was one of the first tech talk shows. Now there are a million. And that is my junior year at UCLA, and that is what segued my journey into entertainment meets venture capital in a sense, because she was also making, angel investments at that time, but I was exposed to a whole side of tech that I had no idea even existed until I was on that show.
Do you remember what some of those early conversations were like for you with Jessie Draper? Like, I could imagine that you probably in your head were focused around this entertainment line of thinking, and then all of a sudden you meet this venture capitalist. What were those early conversations like?
Yeah, I remember thinking, well, to me, celebrities are not necessarily the ones that you see that are actresses and artists, and people are so wowed by those types of celebrities, which are awesome and they're so talented. But being a part of that show made me realize that celebrities to me are the entrepreneurs, and I was just blown away by the stories that all these entrepreneurs had, and Jessie had such an authentic way to make people feel good and just bring on a certain type of entrepreneur onto the show that had an awesome story to tell and gave them a platform to share it. And yeah, I just think when entertainment meets venture, I think of Jessie, and because of that show specifically. And that's kind of what Halogen's about too. So I'm grateful to have that entertainment background. I actually, when we can talk about it at whatever time, but worked for iHeartMedia as well. And so to what venture is going into today, it's nice to be able to take diverse backgrounds and different types of experiences. Jessie was an actress at one point on a Nickelodeon show. Then she had the Valley Girl show. And she was in the nitty gritty of the entertainment world. And I got to be a part of the business side of it as well. And
what have been some of the takeaways, or maybe even shed some light into what is the state of media and venture today? For those, because I think what's been awesome about Demo Day is we've had members like Yipeng Zhao from Embark Ventures, and we're talking about frontier tech and very new technology. We haven't really delved too much into this kind of intersection of media and tech. Mm-hmm. Would love to learn more about Halogen and sort of the types of companies you invest in, and really the thesis that you guys run by.
Yeah. Well, media tech, we think media is broken. And so I guess for media companies, especially ones that we would like to invest in, we're looking for ones that are fixing media. It's very corporate. It's very old school. It's funny working for a big corporate media company. I realized they would even say themselves, we still do everything so old school. They have a hard time changing their ways of doing stuff. So I think it's great to see companies that are disrupting the media space and that are just wild and crazy and outside of the box. And I think that's more companies that come up like that are the ones that are going to make it big. But for Halogen, so Halogen Ventures, we're an early stage venture capital fund, and we invest in consumer technologies led by a female in the founding team. So we invest in co-ed teams. We have 3 awesome male CEOs in our portfolio, so it's all about balance for us. We have 55 companies in our portfolio currently. And we invest in, everything from beauty, healthcare to fashion, transportation. Anything that's going to be, a $1 billion company has to touch a consumer in some way or alter customer experience and have some type of tech angle.
And now, are you guys coming for the founder that is looking to work with Halogen? Are these the founders that are looking for $100,000 checks, more than that? Around where does Halogen come in for those that are interested in learning more about you guys?
Yeah, so we're early, so pre-seed seed.
Okay.
And we'll write, it's that like 250 to $1 million
Okay.
dollar check size. But a lot of the time it's founders that are raising their first institutional, round. So we're sometimes the first institutional check in these rounds. So you could imagine we're very hands-on. It's almost as if we're on the board, but not actually on the board. We're sometimes the first call for these founders that are in our portfolio, and I'm proud to say that. For Carbon 38 is an athleisure wear brand here in LA, and they're doing phenomenal. You should buy their Takara leggings if you haven't already. They're the best. But we were in the first like 900K that they raised, and now they're growing and flourishing and doing so awesome. So it's great to see, from the beginning of Halogen then to all these companies that are raising later rounds now.
What have been some of the key learnings, favorite learnings that you've taken away from Jesse being in and around, these sorts of people? What are some of the things that you've learned over the last, several months or a year that you've been with the team?
Yeah. So it's been Jesse and myself for 3.5 years. We actually just hired our first principal, Alexa Binns, who came from Halogen Ventures. We're so lucky to have her, and she's just a rock star, a phenomenal addition to our team. But I think, I'm grateful to Jessie because she has been such an awesome role model and mentor, and really, it was kind of like this apprenticeship that is that a word? Apprenticeship? She was like
An apprentice.
Yeah. And yeah, she believes that everyone is hands-on and, you learn by doing. And she just was a great example. I got to sit in a bunch of meetings with her from the beginning of when she started Halogen to honestly now, and oftentimes I run the meetings myself too. So I learned everything I had about venture from her, and I'm very grateful for that. And she's so transparent. Is like the only way you're going to learn things is if you're sitting in the room with me and you're hearing, all these things. You'll catch on and you'll know how we invest in today. She'll say like, exactly how Halogen invests, exactly how I invest.
It sounds like this is something that we heard as well with Abba Nath over from Wonder, that
she's awesome.
When you have a small team, because there's a lot of people that listen to the show that are thinking, I'm right now in media, I'm an agent, I'm either in LA or SF, and maybe I want to move and check out VC and think about what it would be like. And there's some benefits to joining the big names like Andreessen Horowitz or Upfront or Crosscut, but there's also these different benefits of joining small teams where you have a foot at the table, you're able to be involved. When you are sitting at that table and you have these startups, every day pitching you, have you started to develop certain qualities that you find really valuable or things that you look for in winning teams?
Yeah. So we talk to everyone. It's my favorite thing to talk to entrepreneurs. I always think I'm just so grateful that we get to bet on people's dreams every day. But I think what we look for is billion-dollar markets, diverse teams. So that could be a male or a female, or both. And they all can come from all different backgrounds, ethnicities, from all over the U.S. We have companies in San Francisco, L.A., New York, Atlanta, Seattle, Chicago, Denver, and from all ages, too. We have ones that are in their 50s to ones that are in their late 20s. And I think that's so awesome to have such a diverse portfolio. And for founders, it's just a killer team. And because we're betting so early, you really have to have a killer team and make sure that they know the business like the back of their hand, and they know their market, they know their competitors, they have a unique competitive advantage, and they just blow us out of the park. I think just coming prepared to me, but I love hearing their stories too. That's the most fascinating part to me, is hearing why they're doing this, why they started this business, and where they want it to go, and their crazy, wild dreams of where they really want this to be. And Yeah, I think that that's the most fascinating part about it. I truthfully, the best part of my job is talking to entrepreneurs.
I think sometimes founders that are in an early stage and they're pitching for their, their first 100 pitches to get their pre-seed, sometimes they get so
Yeah.
lost in trying to paint the picture of how big the market is and they forget to explain why this is so important to
Right.
them. And, for those listening, a key takeaway that I'm getting from Ashley is just to focus on the impact of your why. And if you can convey to the investor, why you're on this mission and really they can relate to it, that's a step in the right direction. What about the flip side of that question? What are the sort of red flags that go up for those listening thinking, I may someday have an opportunity to be in a room with Ashley and the team? What are some red flags that for you are just like an automatic no-go?
Yeah. I think always check your ego at the door, and that's on both sides, an investor or an entrepreneur.
How so?
I think that you can never be the smartest person in the room. And if you are, you're standing in the wrong room. And always be open to hearing feedback, and because you never know where that's going to take you for the next pitch. If an investor is telling you, if you're hearing the same thing over and over and over again, change that thing in your deck, because that's probably what's hurting you for, your fundraise, or could help you in the next pitch meeting that you have. And I think that it's, just ask the investor questions. Like, I think, they're constantly sitting there just being like pitched at, and they know so much about the company and you, but ask them some questions too, because investors are just, it's like one meeting after the other. We're talking to tons of entrepreneurs in one day. And so, I think that.
What is important about that? Like, what's the underbelly of asking questions? Because there's a lot of different, ways to interpret it. Why is it important for these founders to ask more questions?
So, well, first you should know who you're pitching, because I'm sure there are quite a few investors, including myself, that have been, pitched a business that I'm like, do you know what we invest in? And it not only wastes their time, but it also wastes your time. You want to make sure that you're targeting the right investors, so that you're on a timeline to fundraise, and your time is so valuable. So do your homework, know who you're pitching. If it's, know their timeline, know what type of check size that they write, what they look for in companies, what it is that they want to see. If it's a no, ask them for feedback. Ask them, what is it that if I hit these 3 goals and come back to you, is that can we, fancy the conversation down
Interesting.
the road?
That's a great piece of advice that I don't think I've ever heard before and should be taken by many, because I think that a lot of people, once they hear the firm no, let their ego take over and usually are like, oh, well, screw them. Like they're not smart. They don't know what they're missing. But there's something about the persistence without being overly persistent, in their face, which is, hey, if I were to keep updating you over the next couple months and show you progression, would I have an opportunity to meet you again? I think that any VC would say, sure,
definitely. And there have been entrepreneurs that, have pitched us. I mean, it might have been too early for us at that time, or didn't make sense at that time, and have come back a year later and we've invested. And so I love hearing updates, and as does our team, from companies that are keeping us on their quarterly update report. I love reading them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a completely different company than when they pitched us. Like, this is awesome. And a lot of them come back and they're like, hey, we took your advice. Here's what we did, and we're shooting for this, and hopefully we'll have a raise next, spring or whatever, and we'll keep you posted.
Yeah.
And I love that more than anything, because they're always on the back of my mind, and those ones that are updating me and keeping me, in the loop, I constantly think about.
That's a great idea. And again, another reason I love doing the show is something that I can always take stuff away for Coefficient Labs. And it's something that, as you're talking through this, I'm thinking, man, why haven't we done an update report for our old clients from 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Just to keep them in the loop. Hey, we've since moved to a new office and we have a bigger team. And I think that's just awesome. So again, for people listening, one thing you can do if you have, because there's a lot of people that have to take 20 or 50 or 100 no's before they get their first yes.
Yeah.
Keeping those people in the loop on what's going on could potentially lead to better results down the road.
Yeah.
Great advice.
We always say it's a no for now.
It's a no for
but
now.
not forever.
That was great. That was great. Now, I know you like briefly went through it, but talk to me more about like the makeup of the perfect type of company. Of course,
Yeah.
Carbon 30, there are the winners that in hindsight are like, oh yeah, that was a great bet. But what is the makeup of the right sort of team for Halogen so that they know that they are the right fit for you?
Yeah. Well, first, a female in the founding team. So, it could be a co-founder, CMO, CTO, just a female in the founding team of 5. And we do, like I said, we do have 3 awesome male CEOs in our portfolio, but majority of them are all female CEOs or founders or co-founders. And a $1 billion market. So I think just, know your know your market size. If it's something, super small, think 20 million times bigger than that. Those are the companies that we're going to invest in. And, we want to be the first, the second in that industry. I think that it's, consumer. So anything from, I love fintech. I love beauty. I love seeing it all. I pretty much see it all because we're a small team. So I do end up seeing everything. But I think just do your homework and know exactly what the fund invests in. And ours is female founder, a consumer, $1 billion markets. Make sure you have something that's disruptive or a competitive advantage, and know your competitors. Because oftentimes, a lot actually, the entrepreneur will say, we're the only one doing this. And I'm thinking, I just got pitched 10 of these companies last week. And so they don't know, you're talking to an investor that gets pitched so often that they've actually heard of 20 of these companies that you think that you're the only one in that industry.
Another value bomb dropped from Ashley because I could, trying to put yourself in the perspective of the founders, they're so excited. They have this one opportunity. They're trying to like get you excited, but they forget to take that one step back and realize like this sort of person has already seen hundreds of times more pitches than I would ever see. So being prepared is like it's a different sort of preparation because they will look so bad if they make those claims without being able to back them up.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk for a second about Demo Day, because the show is called Demo Day, and I think our why around it is really Demo Day at the core brings together founders and VCs. It's like a centralized place. What's your take on Demo Day, and how do you think they could be better in the future?
Yeah. I love demo days. They're so much fun. And I think LA just crushes demo days. It's the most fun for me. I've been to quite a few in New York actually as well. And I do I try to go to demo days where I could meet different people, because I think oftentimes you go to the demo day, you see the same investors or entrepreneurs, or and we like to go to ones where we're always at least going to one demo day that's different and new and wild and crazy. But I think that they're fun, and they're full of networks. I can tell you about our demo day.
Please.
Okay, so we call it a pitch day. We call it Halogen Broadroom Pitch Day, broad for women.
Okay.
And we host them in these boardrooms. I make everyone choose a walk-up song. And you would think that that's like the most stressful thing that an entrepreneur would think about. That's like their one task. And that's the one thing they freak out about. They're like, I don't know what song to choose. Do you think you can choose one for me? Does it how long can it be? Can you start it here? Do I have to dance? And I'm like, just choose a song.
Okay, you got to tell us though. What's the underbelly? You must have thought to yourself like, oh yeah, we're gonna do the walk up song. What's the story behind it, or is there even a story behind it?
So Jesse and I started the Halogen Pitch Days because there was 2 of us, and that was just the most efficient way for us to meet as many companies as possible. And we love to talk to everyone. It's our favorite thing to talk to entrepreneurs. And so we're like, let's start these pitch days. But we're fun. We come from entertainment. We want to make this different. And so I said, why don't we have a walk-up song? And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, like in sports, you have a walk-up song. And I grew up playing sports. So in softball, we had walk-up songs. And basketball, you had your, this playlist playing while you're warming up. And it's like, but for baseball and softball particularly, you got to choose a song. And she's like, oh, wow, this is I love this idea. I'm like, okay, great. We'll test it out for the first one and then we'll see how it goes. And it ended up being the hit of Halogen pitch days. And now, 3 years later, we're still doing it. And it's the most fun part of the whole pitch day. And it just loosens it up. I think people think, oh, pitch day, how long is this and how formal is it? Do I only have like a minute to do this? And we're like, no, it's casual. You choose a song, you walk up, we dance, we truthfully dance, we all stand up and we're dancing. It's so much fun. And people choose funny songs to, really interesting ones. And it's the best part of the whole thing.
It shows a different side of their personality.
No, exactly. Yeah. And a lot of them have a good story to it. And I think it loosens them up, makes it feel a little bit more approachable, and then they feel ready for their pitch, and it's not like a competition. I think
it breaks the ice, like it cuts the tension a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm like, you're not you're only competing with yourself, because that's you're the only one in the room, plus our team, and we invite our LPs. So.
And then for for that final event for the pitch day, are there like a panel of judges, or how does it end up going down? What's the format like?
Yeah, so it's a 5-minute pitch, 10-minute Q&A. And so they choose a walk-up song, they pitch. It's just our teams, so the 3 of us, and then we invite all of our LPs. So they're more than welcome to join us. I bring donuts almost every time from the sidecar. It's so great. And then we do the 10-minute Q&A, which ends up being about 30-ish minutes. And it's just us. And then we try and get back to them 2 to 3 weeks after that. But yeah, it's not like a panel. It's not like a competition, like a Shark Tank type thing. It's more.
And now, is it the culmination of a cohort? Is Halogen is not your standard or traditional accelerator program, or is it? Right. No. So it's just an opportunity for you to showcase the different portfolio companies.
Yeah. So these aren't our portfolio companies. Actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the difference. It's a demo day. It's more of a pitch day.
Oh, I understand. So this is like a chance for you to meet new companies, bring them into a space. Understood.
Exactly. So these are the companies that are potential investments, I guess.
And now for the companies that get to participate, is it invite only? Is this open registrations to anyone in the community?
No. So yeah, it's invite. So we'll usually do an initial call. And if it's something that we're interested in investing,
they'll get invited to the demo. Got it.
Yeah.
Now, when you listen, I can imagine after the music is done playing, everyone's laughing, you sort of settle back into your chair, and then the pitches get going. What are you looking for in the pitch? Or maybe even said a different way than what you're looking for. What kind of pitches tend to really enamor you and get you excited?
Yeah. It's the ones that I know what they're doing from the first 2 slides. So there have been many pitches that have gone all the way through, and we all are just kind of like, but what do you do? So what do you do? And she's like, oh yeah, I guess I never really,
thought of that.
I'm like, yeah, that should be like on your first slide in bold letters, underlined, italicized, like what it is that the company does. So I think right off the bat, knowing what you do, it shouldn't be a cajillion slides. It should be able to be read. And a lot of them are like 5 minutes. I can't explain my company in 5 minutes. I'm like, if you can't explain your company in 5 minutes, YC makes them do a pitch in 2 minutes. You should be able to explain what your company does in 5 minutes.
What's a piece of advice, and we can keep going through, but what's a piece of advice you have for people that maybe haven't nailed their first 2 slides yet? Is there anything that you've seen that kind of can help them start moving in the right direction?
Yeah. I think, first, the description of what you do, make sure that's clear. If it's a marketplace, a D2C product, or, a tampon product, only say that because we've seen like 1 billion tampon companies. So that's the first thing that came to my mind.
It's big right now.
Or, if it's SaaS or enterprise or whatever it may be, make sure that's in the first 2 slides. So your first slide is going to be your logo or, whatever it may be. But then your second slide should be your description of what you guys do.
Or the problem you're solving.
The problem you're solving, correct. Yeah. So the problem you're solving, how you're going to solve it. So the solution, numbers if you have them, just like small little traction things. Investors love to see that if you have it. Oftentimes it's an early company for us, so sometimes they don't have those. And you don't have if you have a financial projection thing, that's great. Throw it in a slide up there. Usually we'll ask for it afterwards. And market size, your competitors, and your team. Yeah, we go in on the team.
Now, for transitioning away from demo day for a second and moving into advice for other venture capitalists that are in their first couple of years of joining a team, what sort of advice or insights do you have for those to be, the best versions of yourself at that role? Anything that you found since you've started working over the last couple of years?
Yeah, be prepared to take a million meetings.
You have to love the meetings.
Yeah, you have to love the meetings, and it's a lot of networking and a lot of meetings. But it's fun, and I think it depends on what type of fund you join. If it's a small fund or if it's a larger fund, the larger funds tend to have a more in the lines or inside the box roles. Smaller funds, I know you talked to Wonder, Abba from Wonder, and we wear all hats, so we do it all. We touch everything, and we have a rule in the office that everyone takes out the trash. And so I think just always be open-minded. Don't say no, and just always be open to learning. You can learn things from other investors or people and entrepreneurs too. I've learned so many awesome things from our portfolio companies. I'm so grateful to be able to work with them every single day. And just be ready to work.
That's awesome. Ashley, this has been a great podcast. Last question for you. What are you most excited about in 2020? It can be personal, it can be related to business, anything.
Yeah. Well, I get a puppy next month. I'm so excited. A golden retriever. There's a golden retriever in this office currently.
Jackson.
His name's Jackson, which is actually also my boyfriend's name. But awesome. Our puppy's name's Oakley.
Oakley.
Yeah. So we get to bring him home next month, and we're so excited. So. Yeah.
Cool. Well, Oakley, welcome to the Demo Day family. You can come here anytime. Where can people get in contact with you, Ashley? If they want to reach out, if they want to tell you more about their business, what's the best way to get in contact?
Feel free to email me. So Jessie gives her email out on panels, so I do the same. We're always open to anyone reaching out. I love when people come and hunt me down. I'm at events and they pitch me. It's the most awesome thing. I'm like, wow, how long have you been standing here? I've been looking for you. I'm like, my LinkedIn, and a lot of them say your LinkedIn profile looks exactly like you. I love it. So it's awesome. But I'm at Ashley at halogenvc.com. And you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty good at, if you message me there, I'll email you back. Or if you email me, I'm pretty good at getting back to you too.
Ashley, thank you so much for making it down to Coefficient Labs and Demo Day. This is Demo Day. Thanks, guys. Peace.
So this is also the interesting thing about deep tech companies is traction looks different.
Yeah.
Traction is not, unless you're a lucky deep tech company, traction is not revenue. Traction is not necessarily customers. Traction is progress against technical regulatory milestones.